Hey, everybody, welcome back. My name is Bobby Borg, and this is Music Marketing for the DIY Musician, and I am here to help you turn your art into a more successful business. The next phase in the research process is competition. And I know what you're saying. I ain't got any competition, man. Nobody does what I do. And that very well could be, but there's different types of competition, and let's review those. First, there is competition that is similar, right? So in other words, is anybody doing exactly what you're doing? But there's also what's called substitute competition. And that basically means anybody that could take attention away from you. So for example, it would be ridiculous if there was a Coffee Bean on this side of the street and a Starbucks on this side of the street for Starbucks to think that a Coffee Bean was not competition. You know, surely Starbucks could say, well, no one roasts their beans like us, but however, it's still coffee, and potentially people will make a decision to go over to Coffee Bean instead of Starbucks. So you have to be, don't let your ego get in the way of this. Potentially, you need to look out there and you need to look within your genre and you need to ask yourself, who potentially could take attention away from me? And then what you need to do is you need to analyze everything about them. You need to analyze their strengths. You need to analyze their weaknesses. You need to look at their products that they produce. How well are they packaged? How well are they recorded? You need to look at the merchandise they create. You need to look at their stage performance. When they come out, what is it that they do on stage? All right? This is very, very important. And then ultimately what you want to do is you want to find something that everybody is not doing and you want to capitalize on that. You just want to make sure that that thing, which is called a position in the marketplace, is relevant to your target audience. But definitely you want to find uniqueness, because uniqueness is going to be the key to your success, you guys. Very, very important. Now you might ask, how do you do all this research? It's easy. Let's just say, for example, I just moved to Los Angeles from Miami and I was in a rock group, let's just say, for example, and I wanted to start playing all over Los Angeles. What would I do? First thing I would do is I would just ask some kid that looks like he's into punk rock or rock, and I would say, hey, what rock radio stations do you listen to? What rock clubs are cool? What's one of the coolest rock bands that's playing around town that's getting the most attention? Then I would say, hey, what is the big rock magazine in this area? And I would open it up and I would do research and I would start seeing the same groups mentioned over and over again. Then I would go to their shows, I'd sit in the back and I would take notes. And I would say, damn, these guys have an amazing stage show. I mean, they come out and it's just like they have smoke and they have lights and they have a DJ up on stage and dancers and costume changes and they let fans come up on the stage. These guys are out of control. They have their own light man. They have their own sound man. This is what makes them stand out and stand apart from everybody else, right? And that's what you need to find about yourself. So what you want to do is you want to create a competitor analysis. And again, in the book, there is actually a template that helps do that. You want to actually complete it at the end of the chapter. And then what ultimately you want to do is you want to figure out how you're unique, what is your competitive advantage, what's your position in the marketplace, how you're distinct. This is a very, very important concept in marketing, okay? So I hope you enjoyed this segment. Again, my name is Bobby Borg, and I'm here to help you turn your art into a more successful business. The next thing now that we're going to talk about is testing and feedback. Now, this is a really huge area that a lot of times people neglect to practice. So testing and feedback, hang in there, grab your pens and papers, go get a quick drink, come back, and let's do this. Thanks, you guys.